Clash Royale has seen tons of evolutions over the past few years of questionable updates. Some fun to play, some boring, but all of them pretty broken on launch. We'll be finding the best evolutions today and ranking them based on their creativity, versatility, and how broken they still are. Alright, let's begin. Evolved Barbarians were very uncreative and not very versatile either. They're the Temu version of Raged Barbarians from Clash of Clans Builder Base. Earlier they could survive a fireball and provide actual value, but they got quickly overshadowed by other Evos, nerfed, and are pretty easily countered now. Although they're a strong defensive card, Barbarians still don't see a place in many decks, other than Lava Hound and Royal Giant decks. They're definitely a D-tier evolution right now. Firecracker was too broken on launch, surviving arrows and dealing way too much damage. On its launch, it was definitely an S+ tier, but over the years, it's received multiple health and damage nerfs. It still finds spots in numerous decks though, most famously the Hog Firecracker EQ decks. Its cheap elixir cost allows it to fit into endless decks, and its range is still broken. If you have no spell, well, good luck countering her. After the nerfs, it's still quite counterable, but the versatility is still immense. The mechanics relate to the usual attack as well, making sense too. Just for the insane defensive value it provides and baiting out a spell every single time, Evolved Firecracker belongs to S tier. Royal Giant was extremely overpowered on launch and received numerous nerfs over the years. Initially, it was found in almost every top ladder deck, and that's how hard it was to defend against this menace. It had extra health, and the stomp used to knock back enemies a lot further. But over the years, it's been made much more balanced. As a win condition, it doesn't find its place in many decks. It's still localized in the classic RG Hunter Fisherman deck, and not too hard to counter with the current meta that's been running for the past few months. Usage rate has also decreased. The creativity was interesting initially since no card could push troops away like that, but over the years we've seen way crazier mechanics in cards like Giant Snowball and the new Heroes update. The mechanism no longer feels interesting, so Royal Giant has gotta be in C tier, considering that people still play it much more than Barbarians. Skeletons was the strongest evolution to launch, way ahead of its time. It's an extremely strong card that kept getting nerfed over and over. It had lots of potential as both a defensive and offensive card. Over the years, it's been reduced to only a defensive card, relying on hopes that the opponent doesn't use a spell. It's an interesting card, but delivers no value once your opponent figures out your deck and is hovering over their spell to wipe them out instantly. They're still versatile, finding spots in hyper bait decks and providing insane defenses when used correctly. They still haven't died, and people love Larry. They belong to B tier. Not perfectly balanced, but not the worst either. Mortar was the first building to get an evolution, and added Goblin, it had nothing to do with Mortar's mechanics. It was another Evo that was extremely broken. If it locked onto your tower, every shot meant more than 500 damage. It still wasn't being used too excessively because Mortar wasn't in the meta. Over the years, people developed new decks and revived the Mortar, and players realized the defensive potential and developed some very annoying decks around it. It's still being played at top ladder, but not by everyone. It can still be defended, not easily, but it is possible. The card being broken but still defendable is a card that definitely belongs to A tier. Early players remember what a menace Evolved Knight was, surviving multiple Sparky shots and pushing through everything, literally impossible to defend. It quickly made its way into the timeless Expo and Logbait decks. Again, it received numerous nerfs and was slowly tuned into a balanced card. It is still a very good defensive card, but no longer truly broken, and using it needs more than just spamming skills. It could be slightly more versatile, and it would have been in A tier. It remains mostly as a defensive card in the current meta, so it's gotta go in B. Royal Recruits is another evolution on the annoying level of Firecracker. No one knew why Evo Recruits were added. The card wasn't dead and was already quite balanced. The Evo Recruits were just straight up overpowered, turning a defensive card into an offensive one, which was truly unnecessary. It just buffed certain decks a lot, and Royal Recruits found a few more decks with Dark Prince and Prince. But the evolution made no sense whatsoever and is extremely strong on defense. Breaking through Royal Recruits is almost impossible in top ladder right now, putting them in S tier. Evolved Bats were hyped up a lot by the team, showing it as a perfect counter to Mega Knight. Their healing mechanism was similar to Battle Healer, and they couldn't be killed by spells easily. They were a decent defensive card, but offensively they only worked with big pushes. As a 2 elixir card, it finds a place in a lot of cheap cycle decks, but you'd rather use some other evolution like Skeletons or Ice Spirit. Evo Bats also usually combine with Cannoneer as the tower troop, making it even less versatile, and now people usually counter it fairly easily. That makes Evolved Bats a D tier card, just because other evolutions are a lot better. Evolved Archers is probably one of the best early game evos you can unlock. Even after multiple nerfs, they still defend extremely well, and just like Firecracker, bait out spells. Even if the opponent is fast enough, you can still easily sneak out 500 to 1000 damage and bait out a spell. On defense, they take out entire expos and tanks, making them a very reliable support card. The counter push potential is great as well, and you also end up baiting out Mega Knights to kill them. Just the fact that they die to spells easily stops them from getting into S+ tier, so another S tier evolution that you can unlock early in the game. Before it got nerfed, Ice Spirit was a menace, freezing your troops 3 times in a row. It was used by almost everyone since cycling a 1 elixir evolution was very quick. It was a tank on defense and offense, stopping Inferno Dragons and allowing your win conditions to do tons of damage. After the nerf, it freezes only twice, but is still very good on defense in certain decks. But due to newer evos, Ice Spirit is slowly getting buried under the snow, finding its spot in only a few decks. You'd probably play Evo Mega Knight instead, which provides a lot more value. So Ice Spirit is unfortunately in B tier. Valkyrie evolution is interesting in concept on both defense and offense. On defense, it can fully stop golems and hog riders, and on offense, it makes kiting very difficult. It easily finds its place in many decks and pairs up with evolutions like Firecracker and Baby Dragon extremely well. The versatility is insane, and it can't be easily killed using spells either. For just 4 elixir, its performance against tanks is insanely good as well, helping us get our first S+ tier evolution. On release, every bounce of the Evo Bomber could damage the tower. The most common way of using it was lining up units in front of the Princess Tower, then splashing the tower and getting about 600 damage per shot. Although this was done by many content creators, many players didn't adopt this strategy very well. It usually required Tornado or other cards, and lining everything up wasn't easy. Over time, players figured out how the gimmick worked, and defending against it became easy. Evo Bomber also got nerfed a lot so that it would only splash once. All of this led to people almost never playing the card. There were just too many other evos you wanted to play instead, like the earlier Ice Spirit or even Skeletons. Bomber currently belongs to the F tier. The concept was good, but the versatility could be improved a lot more. Wallbreaker's Evo is another monster for just 2 elixir. From a clearly offensive card, its evolution allows it to deal with swarm cards on defense if needed as well. The runners make them really hard to counter, almost always reaching the tower. They found their place in Hyperbait and other spellbait decks and really shaped the meta. Over time, they've been nerfed multiple times, and the latest nerf affects the runner's damage significantly, but does nothing with the explosion damage. This allows them to still be really OP. However, introduction of building evolutions really increased the usage of buildings, and soon most win condition evos were easily countered. Still, because of having that second life, we can surely put them in A tier. Evo Tesla was the first building to get evolved, and if Firecracker wasn't annoying enough for you, then try breaking through the pre-nerf Tesla. It used to send a stunning wave after its death, which was later removed to help balance the card. The Expo Tesla deck that's been around for years got a major buff, bringing it strongly back into the meta. Even after the nerf, it still remains a very viable and versatile card that even newbies can easily learn to use. It shreds down tanks and provides immense defensive value, many times turning the game in your favor. Many decks started housing Tesla, and due to that stun effect, it negates the need of carrying Zap or Ice Spirit as well. It also can't be easily countered by spells, and you'll have to wait it out in most cases. Another S tier evolution. Evo Zap really shaped the meta of using spells. You'd usually need a small and big spell to balance out your deck, and with Evo Zap, you could clear out goblins and minion hordes and just do tons of damage to cards like Wizard, Witch, and Magic Archer. You no longer needed a big spell, just combining it with another small spell worked very well. But due to being a spell with no unique mechanism, it wasn't too broken. Zap still belonged to the usual decks and found a place in some fast-paced decks. The versatility didn't increase much, but it's still quite a balanced Evo. This puts it in B tier, where it's not the worst, but should be slightly more interesting to play with. On launch, Battle Ram Evo was so busted, it was the most played win condition in top ladder. It made its mark because even though it was a win condition, it cost just 4 elixir, and the new mechanic ensured that it got the entire tower once it connected. It shifted the meta for a short while before getting nerfed multiple times to reduce its damage. When combined with freeze or vines, it is still insanely hard to defend against, pushing through all the buildings. The synergy with other Evos is incredible as well, helping strengthen other cards like Lumberjack and evolved Pekka. When played right, defending it is incredibly hard, and the high defensive demand it raises puts it into S tier. The newer Evos were relatively more interesting compared to the older ones. They made them incredibly overpowered and hard to defend, but actually added onto the card by introducing new mechanics. The Wizard got no damage or health buff after its Evo, but a shield instead. This targeted the one big weakness it had, dying to Fireball and Zap or Log when placed at the back. Evos to come would target the weaknesses the original card has, which made much more sense. Evo Wizard is pretty balanced and revived the use of the Wizard in top ladder. The knockback helps it counter cards like Valkyrie and Mini Pekka, and when combined with a good deck, it really adds value to counter pushes. It can be very annoying to counter sometimes since you can't counter it using splash cards when it locks onto a tower. It is a strong defensive mechanism, but the Wizard still costs 5 elixir and forces you to shape your entire deck around it. The versatility is low, and the value this Evo provides depends a lot on your opponent's deck as well. So this puts the Wizard in C tier. The Goblin Barrel evolution is another evolution like no other. Before the nerf, it was almost impossible to say which barrel had the real goblins, making it insanely strong. This was quickly reworked, nerfing it significantly. From just spamming, the card required actual timing and strategy. It paved the way for dual lane pushes, a technique not fully utilized in the early days of Clash. It combined well with a few Evos and made Logbait slightly stronger and more unpredictable. Some troll decks also made space for it to instantly take the King Tower. However, it's still a pretty gimmicky card and rarely adds defensive value. The offensive value, though, is very conditional as well, with no guarantee. Dependency on the opponent's deck is very high once again. All of this puts it into C tier, as there are still much better Evos that you could play. Goblin Giant evolution brought back some of the most broken Evos in Clash Royale history. Spawning regular goblins every second made it extremely OP at launch. It became extremely hard to defend against when combined with spells to clear out swarms. The goblins kept heavy hitters distracted, and in just a few months, it became part of one of the most disgusting decks, Goblin Giant Pekka Goblin Machine, which was enough for all three to get massive nerfs. The classic Goblin Giant Sparky deck is still very dominant on ladder and requires serious lock-in to defend. But again, a win condition evolution isn't super effective because when defended well, you have to deal with a counter push without any Evos on your hand. After the multiple nerfs, Goblin Giant is slightly easier to defend and doesn't pose the same threat it did before, so it has to go in B tier, also partially credited to the lack of versatility. Goblin Drill has a sad story. It started off as a totally broken evolution that was extremely hard to defend, but after some huge nerfs, it became worse than the original normal Goblin Drill. It used to be in Logbait and Wallbreaker decks and almost take out the entire tower on its own with ease. It lost all its charm in a few months and practically left the meta. Being just a win condition made it even worse, with practically no defensive value. The new reworks might affect the usage rate again, but then it's still the worst F-tier evolution we have. Sorry, little guy. The Goblin Cage Evo was very exciting on defense. It grabs and shreds down tanky units like golems and boss bandits with ease for just 4 elixir. The defensive value is insane when used at the right time. It can also be used to deal with lava hounds when combined with vines or evolved hunter. The defensive synergy is great, stopping almost every win condition but leaving a brawler at the end as well, giving a net positive elixir trade. The card itself is great. The evolution, maybe not the best. The entire ability is wasted if your opponent times their push as well, and you lose out on much better Evos that you could have had on the defensive side. Not bad, but could be much better. It's still very good to chip down Mega Knights, but the current meta doesn't give it a lot of opportunities around Logbait and other similar strategies. So unfortunately, we're putting Shrek in D tier. The Pekka evolution was one of the most simple to use evolutions in a long time. Just play it like the regular Pekka and it will never die. In its initial days, it was extremely strong and healed a lot with every kill. It got some serious nerfs, but is still very effective against troops with high HP. It somehow synergizes extremely well with Goblin Giant and in the classic Pekka Ram deck. On defense, it's pretty solid and quite good for counter pushes, but it's still pretty localized to just certain decks. If it suits your playstyle, Evolved Pekka is the evolution for you. But if you have to choose between what evolution to unlock, this is probably not the one due to the limited flexibility. So Evolved Pekka goes into B tier. Mega Knight evolution comes straight out of Null's Royale, and it seems like a total joke. Everyone was sure it was another prank by Supercell, but it was real. An uppercutting, jumping tank. It made its way very easily, not just into top ladder, but everywhere. The term mid-ladder has never been more true. Apart from being a troll card, you can see Evolved Mega Knight everywhere. It defends everything on the ground, helps create counter pushes, and fits into way too many decks. Very few decks ever revolve around Mega Knight, so it finds its place everywhere. When played smoothly, it can be very annoying to push through. The defensive synergies are way too good as well, and without some hard hitters, you are sure to struggle against this beast. The variety of possibilities around Evolved Mega Knight, also demanding decent counters in real gameplay, puts it in S+ tier. The game had already shifted back to just releasing broken Evos, and the Evo Electro Dragon was nothing short of broken. On release, it forced everyone to use lightning to counter it. It countered everything that was placed together, absolutely shredding Lava Loon and other beatdown decks. It got an emergency nerf and was nerfed several times more. Players still liked it, and the defensive and offensive value is both insane. It finds its place primarily in beatdown decks like the infamous E-Golem Battle Healer E-Drag deck. Even as a support troop, it does incredible jobs. If you don't have a good counter for it, you're immensely cooked. For all these reasons, it's pretty reasonable why E-Drag belongs to S tier. No straightforward counters other than specific spells, and too much value for just 5 elixir. The Musketeer Evo turns her into a sniper for 3 bullets. Even after launch, most people didn't really care about it. It's always been a very conditional Evo, but if you master it, you can predict opponents' troops and get rid of them without spells. If you're left with 6 shards, this is probably not the Evo you want to unlock though, especially after the launch of the heroic Musketeer. Evo Musketeer is probably going to be forgotten very soon. You'd rather use your shards somewhere else, like evolved archers or wizard, as the evolution doesn't add significant value to most decks. And with the entry of the hero versions, Evo Musketeer has gotta go to D tier, just barely missing F. Now we're back to a few months of extremely broken Evos, starting off with the Evo Cannon. The Evo makes no sense at all. It nukes half the arena with a fireball's worth of damage, along with knockback. An already good counter to Hog Rider turns into a perfect counter, destroying massive hordes of troops like an evolved Tesla. It renders the bomb tower almost useless and makes defending against royal recruits and royal hogs just that much easier. The knockback helps against balloons as well. The nukes have been nerfed multiple times, but the card concept remains overpowered nonetheless. An amazing defensive card for just 3 elixir. And even if you have Earthquake, that won't be stopping the nukes. The value it provides for just 3 elixir is ridiculous. The versatility is immense as well, fitting it into too many decks with ease. All of this is enough to put another card into S+ tier. Whoever came up with the evolved giant Snowball probably helped revive the game just as much as jynxzi. Right after nukes falling from the sky, we got Giant Snowball, another card that was extremely fun to play and increased the strategies in the game by a lot. Expo decks emerged again with Giant Snowball helping the Expo lock on a lot easier. Lots of troll decks using Goblin Giant, Curse, and Giant Snowball emerged as well. Not just offensive, but the defensive value against every deck was insane too. Any win condition on your tower, just Evo Snowball it backwards 5 tiles. Too much to deal with? Evo Snowball is here to save the day. All of this for just 2 elixir, easily finding its spot in any deck, making it extremely versatile. For so much to gain and nothing to lose, it is definitely in S+ tier as well. The Dark Goblin evolution was probably another turning point for the game's popularity. Dark Goblin was already another popular card, and it made no sense why it would need an evolution. The evolution we got was nothing short of a beast. It remained the strongest evolution for many months to come, absolutely shredding any push, and I mean any push. Just place a Dart Goblin and give it a bit of time, Pekkas, Mega Knights, Lava Hounds, those are all gone. After its nerf though, there was a fall in its usage rate, but honestly it's a very solid card still. Your opponent always has to answer it or sacrifice their entire push to 3 Elixir. Amazing for baiting spells and amazing for just spamming at the bridge and quick cycle decks. An evolution rarely gets this amount of versatility. Combine it with Rage and it's almost as good as the pre-nerf Dart Goblin. Just due to its low usage rate anywhere other than top ladder, it has to be an S tier, barely missing that S+. It provides value but isn't as annoying and undefendable as some of the other cards. The evolved Lumberjack is another extremely gimmicky card. Ignore the ghost after it dies and your Princess Tower is as good as gone. It finds its home in the classic Lumber Loon variants and Golem beatdown decks. It's definitely an overlooked evolution right now and people seem to have forgotten what a menace this 4 Elixir Woodchopper is. It chops down tanks with ease and drops a rage. The synergies are very strong and the potential for counter pushes is very high as well. The only problem right now is everyone at top ladder has the card figured out and just waits till the rage disappears, or they kite it across the arena. The Evo is still busted though and definitely deserving of more than A tier, asserting its dominance in S tier. Everyone thought the Hunter evolution would be broken, and surely it was, but it somehow never managed to gain popularity in the arena. Some people played it in some decks, new decks emerged, but they didn't last very long. To add salt to the wound, it suffered some major nerfs. The ability to hold a troop on the ground for a while could be easily baited using any 1 Elixir card. The addition of Vines made it even worse for the poor guy with little to no reason left to play him, and you'll still find him occasionally in a couple of decks like the Royal Giant Hunter Fisherman deck, but there aren't many reasons to play him right now, and you'd rather unlock some other evolution like Giant Snowball or just add Vines to your deck instead. Evo Hunter unfortunately has to stay in D tier for now. A great concept, just not the one we need. The Evo Executioner is probably one of the most broken cards on defense. It pushes back E-Barbs, Mini Pekka, Valkyrie, and so much more. And not just that, it deals additional damage at close range. A self-defense mechanism, extra damage, and a counter push. All of this for just 5 Elixir. Talk about a good deal. It has very few weaknesses and is probably one of the most versatile Evos to unlock early game. It doesn't depend on many other cards and works very well independently as well. With very few downsides other than being a bit expensive, it's surely an S tier. The meta doesn't really help him out right now with quick cycle decks dominating, or it would probably have made it into S+. With her release, Evo Witch was absolutely broken for a few months. It could heal from any skeletons, which was later reworked so she could just heal from her skeletons. She absolutely dominated top ladder, and it was insanely hard to defend against her. She didn't find her place in decks were built around her. The healing mechanism made her almost invincible, and she was nerfed multiple times. Although she's less broken on offense now, at defense, she's still cracked with the help of the Princess Towers. The healing is slower, yeah, but it's still quite good. People still play her at both mid and even top ladder, putting her into A tier. Not broken, not too weak, just kinda perfect. Inferno Dragon evolution was another overhyped evolution by Supercell. Although the mechanism is very interesting and can change the tide of the game in your favor, relying on Inferno Dragon for defense hasn't been great historically. Once it charges up, it's way too good at defending. This might make you want to use your 6 shards now, but once you reach top ladder, no one usually lets the Inferno Dragon fully heat up. Everyone knows how crucial it is to kill it. But it's not a threat big enough to even bait spells and is usually dealt with very cheaply using just bats or minions. All of this is enough to put it into B tier, where it can be improved slightly to make it more balanced, even reworked if needed. This Evo was surely the most broken win condition to get an Evo yet. For just 3 Elixir, you get double the skeletons, double the explosion, and the explosion deals more than 700 damage, and has knockback twice. Get that Valkyrie away and deal the damage. Kill the Goblin Gang or Minion Horde, whatever is used to defend. This evolution led to the birth of Hyperbait, extremely annoying to defend and always demands a negative elixir trade or take tons of damage, and it can be used as a defensive card if needed, against Witch, Wizard, Pekkas, and a lot more. Extremely versatile card with too many gimmicks and fun plays possible. Doesn't demand very specific decks or high skill level, making gameplay very easy and suitable to the fast-paced meta. Probably the only win condition which deserves to be in S+ tier. One nerf though, and it's out. The Furnace Evo was very random, linked with the reworking of Furnace. On its release, it was so broken that it could take an entire tower on its own. It went through some emergency nerfs and over time became more balanced. Although it is a decent card, it's not very hard to counter as of now. Just using spirits and skeletons, you can counter it quite easily. The evolved one is good for beatdown decks, but its vulnerability to spells doesn't make it the best card. In the current meta, it primarily belongs to beatdown decks and is not as versatile as it used to be. It's not the best support card and could surely be a lot better, not just broken to climb the tier list again. It belongs to C tier for now and could be doing a lot better in the future if it sees some love. The Baby Dragon is a great support card, and the Evo is straight up nasty. The launch of the Evo revived a much-loved, simple card and turned it into a beast. Golems were running across the map, Lumber Loon decks were finally slowed down, it slowly crept its way into a lot of decks, just like the OG Baby Dragon did. The versatility is insane, and it adds a ton of value to any deck. The only problem is that it's mostly easy to counter unless you learn how to use it. It's one of those cards that you should learn quickly and level up to ensure it doesn't die as quickly. A high skill Evo that adds a lot to the deck and will make you throw your phone if your opponent knows how to use it. A perfect recipe for an S+ tier evolution. The Skeleton Army evolution seemed very broken on its launch due to the invisible invincible army. Players found gimmicks to get the general stuck behind ice golems and seek immense value. The only problem was this was a strategy that would work in the short term. Everyone just started using 2 small spells to clear out the general instantly. Regardless, if you don't have spells, you're in for deep defensive trouble. This evolution is nasty but not broken enough to make it into S tier. Good defensive potential, but it still dies to spells, just like the regular counterpart. An overall balanced evolution belonging to A tier. Royal Ghost got an evolution along with Skeleton Army, which took the spotlight in October. The soldiers were extremely strong, dealing as much damage as Royal Ghost, and if it locked onto your tower, it was instantly down. The threat was immense, but just in 1 to 2 months, it received some massive nerfs, making the whole point of Royal Ghost's evolution almost pointless. The soldiers are now easier to get rid of, and all you have to do is deal with a normal Royal Ghost. The value significantly fell, and most people stopped playing it as soon as they had started using it. So unfortunately, due to the recent nerfs, it's gotta stay in C tier, and will probably slide down further later on. The Royal Hogs Evo makes no sense whatsoever, but they surely counter the weak points that the pigs had, buildings and swarm units. The damage when the pigs land is immense, and again, everyone just expected the crowd to go wild, but almost no one plays them because most people just instantly use a spell to drop them from the sky and turn them into normal Royal Hogs. They don't possess a very big threat as was expected, win condition evolutions are usually not a good idea, and most people don't see the potential in Royal Hogs to invest their shards in them. So Royal Hogs Evo would go to D tier. They'll probably be reworked in the future so they can stay in the air for a slightly longer duration, or they might get some new mechanic that adds a reason for players to play them. Here's hoping. Now go watch this video next where I talk you through the lore of every single evolution. I'll see you there.